The world could never see it coming, but it actually just happened. For the first time ever, nobody is holding the strings. Let me explain. Since the beginning of time, news has always been delivered to the people through a means. Now, when it started back in the day, when people wanted to hear about things, there'd be actual people coming in from different parts of the world to update the individuals of what's happening in the world. Fast forward, you then have pigeons. These pigeons were then tied up with little notes that would fly around the world and giving updates to the individuals. Then you basically had the town criers, and their job was basically the exact same thing. They would come into town and basically spread news via ringing bells and then announcing to the world. So they were basically crying out this information to the world. Then Gutenberg comes up with the printing press, and that was a massive innovation because now for the first time ever, people now had the ability to actually pick up the newspaper in their hand and begin to read from the comfort of their home. Then even faster becomes the telegraph, where people by Morse code are actually able to communicate almost instantly information that they saw and perceived. Then shows up the radio, which is still used to this modern day, right? You have your satellite radio, XM radio, and all you hear is news from around the world at any moment in time. Then shows up news on TV, and then last but not least, CNN introduces 24 hours a day, 7 days a week news, and all the news junkies around the world are extremely happy. Pause right there. All of these things had basically certain individuals or interest groups that were able to tell their story of the news. It was never you. It was never me. It was never the individuals. But news came into the land via a medium, via a company, via someone with their own interest and agenda. And that's been the world forever. People have always been able to convey their story to the media, hoping that the editor will bite the story, hoping that a journalist will take the story. And that's been our life forever, as humanity basically knows it. But suddenly, it's all different. For the first time ever, you, me, all the individuals are now able to tell their story. And if that story is really good, then likes and comments promote that story to be seen by more and more people. It first started off, if I'm not mistaken, with the idea of fake news.
I don't take questions from CNN. John Roberts of Fox.
Fake news.
Let's go to
and that started to drive a certain amount of criticism to the media. People start to say, you know what? Maybe there is some nepotism in the media. Maybe there is some untruth. And then COVID shows up. COVID then shows a completely different side of the spectrum where now people are criticizing the vaccine, criticizing how the virus was established, and then comes out the stories of conspiracy theories and everything else that you all very well know. Fast forward to the modern day problem in the Middle East, and for the first time ever, you see that more and more people are becoming aware of the plight of the Palestinians. For so many years, many people didn't really know what was going on in the Middle East. They had millions of people die in Iraq with unfortunately not a wink, right? 1 million people died in that war. And there was no outrage, there was no protests, there was no civil disobedience in any capacity. But if you look what's happening now in Palestine, you see people are enraged. You see influencers speaking about it. You see people making songs about it. You see people going and protesting about it. And this has taken the media by surprise. What was perceived to be a fact of life, that the influence of society is held on by the media, is now shifting. And now individuals like you and me are able to tell our story, share our insight with the world, and allow the world to judge whatever the scenario will be, whether this is a good video or not, whether that's a good video or not. But you, the individual, now has this unfiltered access or perceived access to the news. And what's great is that even the news themselves know they're becoming outdated. Even Tucker Carlson left Fox News knowing full well that he was being handcuffed, that he wasn't able to speak his mind, he wasn't able to express himself. Right or wrong, agree with him or not, he found a better home for himself on X, on Twitter, than he did ever on Fox News. And his views on Twitter are mind-boggling at times. So my question to the world is, where do we go from here? Elon Musk opened up Twitter for the world. TikTok opened up Twitter for the world. So with that being said, we now have unfiltered access to the media for the time being. It can be revoked at any time, just as we know with Twitter, that during COVID, a lot of people got X, a lot of people got canceled. This cancel culture is a real thing. So the question is, what do you do with this potential to influence? What do you do with this unrestricted, unfiltered amount of content that you're able to give and share and narrate? Because for the time being, it's still relatively free. But eventually, once the media understands how the social media has worked, once they figured out the connections, then there will be their own influencers with their own agendas, with their own stories, controlling the narrative once again, silencing the people, and allowing for those to tell their story, to tell the story. So we have a unique moment in history, ladies and gentlemen, that for the first time ever, if you have something to say, the world just might be listening.